Welcome back. This is Tim Moss from UBC TV, and this is a very special day. We are down at Chelsea. Is it Bowtie Theater, I guess, or Chelsea Theaters?
It was the Bowtie Theater, and now I think it's called Cinepolis or Cineplex.
Cineplex, maybe.
Something.
We're in Chelsea.
Yeah.
We're in
When
Chelsea.
in Chelsea, do what you do in
What
Chelsea.
Chelsea people do. But we're at the Chelsea Theaters on 23rd Street for the New York State Film Festival, and one of those films that is going to be shown this evening is That's Opportunity Knocking, and I'm here with my good buddy Stephen Foster.
Yay!
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Welcome to New York.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes, Stephen, you're an LA man.
I am in LA, a Hollywood man, so
Yeah.
I feel like a fish out of water here. It's good though.
Oh, but you've been to New York many times.
Many times, yeah. We've had like readings of our plays and
Right.
shows here, so this is a special treat to have a movie premiered here.
No,
Yeah.
that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, yay. We're gonna start talking about the movie in just a couple minutes. But I also want to introduce. Now, you're one of the actors in the film, correct?
Yes, I act in the movie. I play the role of Tim.
And Thomas Anawalt,
Thomas Anawalt. You
got it.
Yeah.
as in Anawalt Lumber, which we'll talk about in a little while.
Yes, it's a lumber company in LA. I always get asked about it in auditions when I'm there, and here people just go, "Oh, that's such
no
an
clue.
interesting name."
I've never heard that name before.
Right. I don't know which I prefer. I'd rather let me speak for myself instead. Who knows what if they bought some lumber and what
Yeah,
their feelings about that might have been. I don't want to. That really has very little to do with me and my acting, but an important part of who I am nonetheless.
But still, there's a lot in a name. If people recognize the name, it can't hurt.
Yes.
Well, unless there's a feud going on, but
That's
which we'll
right.
talk about feud, which comes to Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, which we'll get into in a minute. Also, we got so much to talk
We
about.
do. We're going to be here all night. We'll only make it to the
the
opening of the
premiere.
movie, yeah.
And the movie that you're talking about is That's Opportunity Knocking. I love that movie. That was absolutely hysterical. It was brilliantly done. It was well written. It was, I guess the man we need to give credit to is Charles Pelletier. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
He wrote it and directed it?
Yes, he did, and he actually used Thomas and the three other actors who were graduates of the MFA program because it was actually Thomas's story.
Yeah,
Thomas
right.
was actually he had directed me and two of the other cast members and Charles Pelletier in a play in the Hollywood Fringe Festival.
Okay.
And we went to a bar, and Thomas told us a story, which is...
the story.
Well,
so
you can tell, as much without giving the whole thing away. But
Sure. The story that I told is, Charles took the idea, wanted to write something about it, and the story that he wrote and the screenplay and the film aren't quite exactly what happened.
Oh, okay.
But certainly inspired by it. But what happened to me is that I was living in Gramercy here in New York.
Okay.
And we had one of my roommates had been mugged sort of very recently, and I came home one night. I'd had a few drinks, and I looked and I saw a suitcase out on the floor, and all my video games were in the suitcase. And I thought, my roommate Addison, he must have been reorganizing. And then
again.
my other roommate showed up, and she had been drinking. We had a nice conversation. We go to sleep, and then when we wake up, all my video games are gone. The couch is all disheveled. Our bong has been stolen. Bong water. They tossed the bong water on the couch, and one of my other roommates, Carly, when she felt the water on the couch, her first thought was, Anawalt. Also, somebody had sort of opened up a door and seen my other roommate, Addison, asleep in his bed with his girlfriend. And he thought it was me too, that I was drunk.
Checking in and
that I'd gone into the wrong door and that I was like completely drunk. And he was like, wrong room. Turns out that while me and my roommate were, having a time, chatting it up, there was somebody in the apartment.
That is so creepy. That is so frightening.
So creepy. I mean, we had to thank our lucky stars that
Absolutely.
we didn't discover them and something could have happened, But it was also kind of funny, and I mean, we ended up having to leave the apartment and move to another place.
Wow.
But this idea of someone robbing somebody being in an apartment while it's being robbed is, I think, a beautifully comedic idea that Chuck ran with.
And I'm telling you, he did a brilliant job of character development, because you fall in love with the guys that are breaking in. I mean, they're very endearing, and it was so comedic the way he wrote that. It's an incredible story, but he did a great job of putting that comedic twist on it from beginning to end.
Oh, yeah.
It was absolutely wonderful. And so, Stephen, you played the roommate that was asleep in the room.
I did, and actually I didn't even know, and Chuck didn't even know that there was another roommate. This is new information.
Oh, goodness. Uh-huh.
So Chuck just, because we'd all worked together before, and Chuck wanted to use the 4 people that he had seen at a USC MFA acting program, Thomas, Charlotte, Mo, and Shachelle.
Okay.
And they were all part of this acting program, but I wasn't. But Chuck wanted to write a part for me.
Oh, nice.
So he wrote the part of Wally,
Oh,
the
my goodness.
crazy roommate who just got out of the nut house after 2 months because he's in love with Chelsea, played by Charlotte,
One of the roommate.
the other roommate, who is also, he's trying to get into bed
Right.
with Charlotte or Chelsea as well. So that's how Chuck put it all together. He wrote the characters for us. So that's
really
a real incentive as a writer. When you write to someone,
Absolutely.
it gives you strength, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us who all is in the movie, and these are all from USC, the MFA program.
So besides myself and Steven, the other 3 actors are Moroni Kanakoa, Charlotte Galesian, and Sachelle Dennis.
Dennis, Andre.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I call him Satchel, but that's what we called him in school. I know he likes to go by Sachelle, at least professionally. And all of them were in the class above mine at USC School of Dramatic Arts in the MFA program. And Mo and Charlotte were both in a play that I directed Stephen and Chuck in. Where I told them this story and everything, and then Sachelle and Mo had done a sort of chopped down production of the Susan Laurie Parks play Top Dog Underdog. They called it I think Dogs or something, and they were. I think did you see that production?
We did.
Yeah, so that's how you got to know Sachelle.
Yes.
And so it's all sort of the
I
USC
love that.
Connection,
Yeah.
and Charlotte and I are good friends, so it was so great to be her scene partner and to get to work with her, and Mo and Sachelle, because they weren't in my class. I was in the class below them. Getting an opportunity to work with them was just so much
cool.
fun.
That's so cool. Now, what is MFA? Is that Masters of Film or
Master of Fine Arts?
of Fine Arts? Okay, which includes film. So, tell us a little bit about the filmmaking process. Were you studying acting or were you studying filmmaking? Because you had mentioned that you had was it written or produced another show?
I directed a play called 7 Dreams of Falling by C. Scott Wilkerson that was in the Hollywood Fringe Festival. And Stephen produced it.
Yes.
And so that's how I met Stephen and Chuck, actually.
Okay.
And
I love how all of it comes together. I love that.
yeah.
But how did we get your
all-
name? How did we find out about you?
Through Charlotte.
Yes.
She mentioned it on Facebook that they were looking for a director.
Oh.
Yes.
And so I read the script and I jumped at the opportunity. And we were all studying acting.
Okay.
We were all studying acting, but of course, like you said, film and acting go together like ham and eggs. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't have one without the other, really.
Exactly. And anymore, you pretty much have to do it all. You have to write. If you want to get yourself out there, you almost have to write, produce, direct, do the camera, do the lights. Like, hello, what am I doing here? I'm cameraman, I'm producer, I'm director, I'm interviewer.
Editor.
Yes, right.
If you're extremely lucky, you get to tell somebody a story, and then they write a script for you.
That's right.
like Chuck did, So
Yeah, but I really, really enjoyed That's Opportunity Knocking. If you do get a chance, be sure to get out to see this film, because it's a truly delightful film. And would that be considered a short? Because it is, about 22 minutes?
It is a short. It's 22 minutes, and a short can be anything that's up to, I think, 45 minutes or an hour. Once you get past an hour, then it starts becoming a feature. Yeah.
I see. Well, now, Stephen, you and I, because you had mentioned Facebook, Stephen and I think we originally met on Facebook.
We did.
Yes.
We did. I was promoting a play called Legends in Bridge, which was produced in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And you came out and did some PR for us.
Yes. I went out and interviewed the cast and the director, Brian. Yeah. That was so much fun. What a fun show.
Thank you. Oh, wait. Betty Davis is taking over. I said I wouldn't do drag. I don't do that no more. I'm a real artist. I'm a boy. I'm a Smurf. I'm a boy.
Now you used to do, was it drag performances of Betty Davis, or did you had a specific show, didn't you?
I wrote a play called Legends in Bridge, which is about Joan Crawford, Betty Davis, thank you, Ryan Murphy, and Judy Garland all living together in 1965 working on a secret project.
And playing bridge.
In Act 2, they're so bored, they're playing that old standby called Bridge. And in the original production, I played Betty Davis.
Okay.
And I sort of became well known for being Betty Davis, because I guess I'm a good actor, and in the years that have passed, I've actually have pulled back from doing drag, just because I'm getting more opportunities in short films and stuff like that, and I'm in the lead in a couple of them, and I'm supporting in a couple of other movies too, so that's a good thing that people are seeing me in film.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to move into film as opposed to theater, because there's more of a reach. Once it's in the can, you just actually have to go to the screenings, and it's a lot easier than doing 8 shows a week or whatever
absolutely.
You do.
I mean, theater is wonderful, but it really is very time consuming. You have to have a lot of dedication. So we had met on Facebook, and the one thing that I absolutely adored and admired about you was your spiritual positivity. You've got a very positive spirit, and that's what I just absolutely fell in love with.
Oh, thank you. Well, we work in a very hard industry.
Absolutely.
We do. Just getting up, and Thomas was telling me that he's going to an open call tomorrow.
Right.
Just doing that is very difficult. And you have to unless you have someone going, "Good job, kiddo," all the time.
Yeah.
It's very hard to keep that momentum going.
Absolutely.
And so, I wrote a book called Awakening the Actor Within.
Yes, I love that, which I have.
Which is all about keeping yourself motivated and positive in this very grueling and sometimes frustrating and difficult business. In fact, you told me a story just while we were waiting outside about something that potentially would have, if you didn't have a positive spirit, would have actually broken your spirit and kept you from ever pursuing your acting. But you know enough, and you've been around enough to know, just keep the wheel going. Eventually it'll land on your number, and the right path and the right door will open up to you.
Absolutely.
And that's how I feel about creativity.
Well, while we're on the subject, how can people find your book?
They can go to Amazon and type in "Awakening the Actor Within" by C. Stephen Foster.
Yes, Awakening the Actor Within.
Yes.
I just want to say that following Stephen Foster on Facebook is kind of like having somebody saying "Good job, kiddo," because he posts these wonderful affirmations. I mean, your positivity really is infectious.
Yes.
And I want to share a story, kind of along the lines of Betty Davis.
Thank you.
his Liza Minnelli's fantastic too.
Yes, listen, it's good to be here in New York. I tell you something, this is my island. And God damn it, no one's taking it from Mama.
When we were working on Seven Dreams of Falling, Stephen was playing Icarus, the main character, and I read the script and I thought, this is kind of a James Dean figure, someone who burns out early and fast. And Stephen said to me when I told him that, that's fascinating because I was thinking of Judy Garland at MGM.
Wow.
And I thought, what a way to open a door and share a vision for director and actor, for Stephen to occupy this part. It was exactly right, and it's just totally inspiring. So I just wanted to share that.
Well, again,
and can I add to that?
Sure.
And what I love about the people that we worked with in That's Opportunity Knocking and Thomas when we were doing Seven Dreams of Falling is how we all clicked. And like Thomas would bring an idea, or I would bring an idea to the table. Like, I think Icarus is like Judy Garland at MGM. And why did I say that? Because she was a mythic child prodigy character.
Right, yeah, right.
And she was, by the time she was 28 years old,
wow.
She left MGM, she was burned up.
Yeah.
And that whole concept of, in the play, this character, Icarus, is tired of the myth. He's tired of playing the same thing over and over and over again. And when you have a group of people like Chuck or Thomas or Charlotte. In fact, I met Charlotte, who plays the girl in this, the only girl. She cast me as Cupid in the Ranger monologues. And so she knew my talent as well. And so when you bring your talent to really great people, they understand it.
Yes,
and
right,
you don't have to explain, and you don't have to bicker, and you don't have to fight, and you don't have to really ask a lot of questions because the creative muse is kicking into gear.
Yeah,
and that's how it was with Thomas directing me. Because if I don't trust a director, I can be a handful.
I love it.
I can because I want to know that what I'm putting on screen is something worthwhile and
absolutely,
and that it's being communicated properly.
Absolutely.
And Thomas was
and
great
if you're not feeling it, then you need that clarification.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
And Thomas was so good at directing me because he would just and I'd say, Thomas, I don't know how to do this. And just like his friend Charlotte would always say, and Chuck says it too, just keep acting, you will find it. Keep acting and you will find it. I trust that you will find it. And that kind of positive reinforcement between actor and director is crucial to the work. And we got
absolutely. My guests are Thomas Foster, Stephen Foster and Thomas Anawalt. Okay.
Although we're twins.
Yeah.
The next movie we're going to be twins.
Like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. I'm Arnold.
Oh, I want to be Danny. Thank you. Good.
And the name of the film is That's Opportunity Knocking, and it is at the New York State Film Festival here at the Chelsea Theaters later tonight. But this, unfortunately, is not going to air until a little bit later. But we do thank the Chelsea Theaters for allowing us to shoot here in the lobby. We're very grateful for that.
Yes.
So it sounds like you are kind of an actor's director type of thing, because a lot of directors come from the perspective of they have something in mind, but they don't necessarily know how to portray it to actors. And if you are an actor who is directing, you have kind of that insight and that instinct, an actor's instinct, so that I think it's easier to relay to your actors what your vision is and what you want to, how you want to pull it out of them.
Yeah, it's a real listening process, especially working on a new play like we were, Scott Wilkerson's play. We were lucky enough to have Scott Skyping into a lot of the rehearsals. So, what I learned is that if an actor's having a problem with a moment, I might have a really strong idea of how I want that moment to go, but if I bash them over the head with it,
right,
it's not going to get anywhere, and ultimately it's going to be in their hands, right. and also the writer's there, and he has something to say, and so if I can listen to what they have to say and find a way to come to an understanding together. That's so much more valuable in the long run. Like you said, it's time consuming. It takes a lot of effort and energy. And if you're on the same page, that effort, it bears fruit.
Because if you can find the actors where they're at and bring out the feeling that you are looking for, that's acting. That's what is needed, definitely.
And Chuck also is an actor, and he understands that. He was
you
so
can see that,
so giving and so just so trusting. He's just an incredibly trusting and trustworthy director. He really he put it in our hands in so many ways, and he trusted us with his script and his really funny, wonderfully witty script, with these great characters.
And I could also see the closeness of the actors. I mean, there was definite chemistry there, and I didn't realize that you had worked together before, but now that in retrospect or thinking about it, I can see it, because you can see the closeness and the trust between the actors, definitely.
I'm so glad that you said that, Tim. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. They're wonderful people. I mean, Charlotte, who obviously most of my work in the movie is with Charlotte, is just a great person, I mean, and that besides all the dedication she has to her craft and to storytelling, just a fantastic human being, wonderful to work with. And you get that if you come from theater, you find a lot of that, I think. And it's wonderful to bring people from theater into film, as you and Chuck and Cynthia did with this movie.
Well, it's so funny because I call Thomas, one of my nicknames for him is Orson Welles Jr. And because he has like that cute nose, and he just kind of has this very, very, Orson Welles is a very dynamic personality.
Yes.
But he also started in the Mercury Players Theater in New York.
Okay.
And he brought his troupe out to Hollywood with the condition that they would be the ones that would make whatever project he worked on, which was Citizen Kane. So all those people he loved. And you watch the trailer for Citizen Kane, and you watch Orson Welles describing all the actors one by one. And you will see the love that he has and respect. And that's exactly what Thomas was talking about with Charlotte, Mo, Shishel, and Thomas and Chuck and I. We just have such a bond of creativity. And that is really important because it's not cookie cutter. It's so easy for art to just become cookie cutter and flashy. And
so much of art is right now.
Smurfs, what are we on? Smurfs 3, which I auditioned for and didn't make it. I was too short.
Damn them.
I was too short.
I love it. Couldn't reach the microphone in the studio. Well, again, my guests are Stephen Foster and Thomas Anawalt, and the name of the film is That's Opportunity Knocking, which was written and directed by Charles Pelletier.
Yes.
So tell me real quick, what was one of the more fun moments on the set when you were shooting this?
Oh, boy.
I got one.
Do it.
When we were filming these scenes that that did not involve Thomas and Charlotte, I got to stand off stage and do Charlotte's voice as a voiceover. And I'm not going to do it because she always thinks I'm making fun of her when I do. But she has a very unique voice.
Yes, she does.
And I always tell her, I say,
voice.
when I do your voice, it's not I'm making fun of you, just I adore people with unusual voices, and that's how I always approach character through the voice. All right, Thomas.
Okay. I mean, I really enjoyed taking 2 beers and trying to crack them both at the same time. That was a really fun discovery that we made in the process of filming it.
So you can add that onto skills, skills on your resume.
Yes, I'm a double beer cracker.
Yes, there you go. I love it. Well, now you mentioned, or we were talking before we started rolling about your name, about Anawalt, and in LA, everybody knows the name Anawalt, but here in New York, nobody knows it. Why is that?
Well, it's really because of Anawalt Lumber, which is it's a lumber company started by my great-great-grandfather in 1921. And the store that my dad runs is
in Los Angeles.
It's in Montrose, California, which is in the foothills in Los Angeles County. and it's been there since 1921, and since then many children had children, and so there are a few different companies. There's the one on the west side, also called Anawalt Lumber. It has several stores run by my cousin Dave, and so when I go over to the west side of LA, I grew up in Pasadena, which is sort of like a little further west than further east than East LA.
Yeah.
I see Anawalt Lumber, that's my name. I see the logo. It's not the same logo my dad has. It's like stepping into an alternate universe. And so I'll go into an audition and they'll say, Anawalt, like the lumber company?
Yeah.
I kind of just say, yep. And as you can see, it's a long explanation to how they all got there and is it me, really? Well, yes. Yes, it is.
That is the family business in a way. Yeah.
It's the family business. And you wouldn't have sets without lumber.
Nope.
You wouldn't have shelter and homes without lumber. So I'm very thankful for the ingenuity of my great-great-grandfather and the dedication of my father and his cousins.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's one of the truly family-run businesses that's still around.
I love that.
When I go back and I work, temporarily there, it's amazing how people really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And one thing, you can always say at those auditions, you put the wood in Hollywood.
Quite literally.
And
I'm gonna steal that.
you can. I've been wanting someone to steal that for years. And in the film, our characters don't really like each other. And
that's always so much fun to play.
Oh, yeah. And we don't share any screen time together, unfortunately. That's why we're making the
that's
sequel.
Right.
But in the film, Chuck cleverly wrote that his character works at a place called the Happy Hammer, which is exactly taken from, Chuck is very smart. He takes from people's lives and puts it on the screen.
Nice.
That's, it's not anything clever. It's what people have always done.
Yeah.
George Kaufman in Heart, all those plays that they wrote, all those comedies, those characters were loosely based on people at the Algonquin Round Table.
Right.
All those characters, they were people they loosely knew. So that's what Chuck does.
Yeah.
Chuck's just really great at it.
Yeah, and like you said, taking familiarities or certain aspects of people's lives and including that. So what was it called? The hammer?
The Happy Hammer. The Happy Hammer.
The Happy Hammer, because I remember you doing that.
Happy Hammer.
Yeah. and with the lumber and the whole bit. That's great. That is so cool. And then you come out here and I was like, Anawalt, is that right? How do you say that name? Isn't that amazing how like in one community it's very well known and in another I was not familiar with it.
Yeah. One of the virtues of New York City is anonymity, and that's no exception, I really love this city, and my mom is from here, so it's kind of like my two sides are constantly in conflict and in harmony with one another. East Coast, West Coast.
Yes, but that will show a nice balance. Yeah. A nice balance.
Theater, film, East Coast, West Coast. It's all gravy. I love it.
Thomas, have you ever made a film? Have you ever directed a film?
I have directed a film. I directed a web series pilot, which it's called The Group. It was written by Emily Euler and Tara Pollack, and it debuted in LA not too long ago. I was actually really proud of it. Sort of about a group of women coming together to try and find answers, and basically it's about the dangers of guruism. Specifically in LA, I think. I mean, it's very funny but dark. Charlotte actually was part of the development of it. She was very instrumental in how it got developed. She wasn't in it, but she worked with them. She read the script and talked with them about it, and she was going to direct it for a spell, and then she wasn't able to do it, and then I stepped in. They wanted to have it all female crew, right? But I stepped in and I did it, and it was a wonderful cast. I mean, I'm just when you finish something and you see that everybody's done such incredible work. As you can get with That's Opportunity Knocking. I get to see Mo and Satchel doing such incredible. I think they have such incredible comedic chemistry.
I agree.
It was just a delight to watch the final product, you know. And same with the group. So I'm so proud of all the performances that came out of it. Makes me feel like I did my job, you know, because I don't see my work so much as their work.
Yeah. Well, I thank you both very much, because I know the film is going to be screened tonight. It's going to be premiering tonight at the Chelsea cinemas. And again, my guests are Stephen Foster and Thomas Anawalt. And the film is That's Opportunity Knocking. It's Charles Pelletier is the writer and director. So again, be sure to try to get out to see that. Any final words that you would like to say about That's Opportunity Knocking?
Keep knocking on wood.
Well, thank you so much for having us, Tim, and for interviewing us. And I hope you get a chance to see the film. It's won awards in other festivals, and it's doing really well. And we filmed it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's so I just want to thank Stephen and Chuck for all their hard work in putting this into festivals and getting it out there. I hope you get a chance to see it.
Me too.
And take us out with a little Betty Davis.
Well, I'm so happy that Ryan Murphy's having such great success with my image. But I want to ask him one question. Where's my check?
They should have hired you for a feud.
I know.
What's with this Susan Sarandon thing?
My wig's better than hers.
Stephen and Thomas, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you.